Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I love crafting, shopping, decor and makeovers. Thanks for tuning in. So hopefully you've watched DIY Dollhouse Chairs Part 1 because today we're cracking on with Part 2. So I did a few DIY kits, dollhouse kits, and this is one of the chairs. Look at all the pieces. So basically I just had to cut all these bits of material using these templates and then glue them all together with a couple of bits of wood to create this lovely office chair for my dollhouse kit. And that sort of gave me, as usual, inspiration for my own dollhouse then, just how to, piece chairs together and how to cover them neatly as well. That was the thing that I found with the kit, gave me the ability to be a little bit neater with my gluing and so on and covering. So that was, they're always a good idea if you're into, your dollhouse and you're not sure how to proceed. Maybe get a kit. You can get them sort of quite cheaply. And it gives you a bit of insight. So this was another kit, another set of chair bits and pieces. Even had a little thing here for folding this metal round, which again, another good idea for the future. Just a long sort of pipe piece of metal or even a paper clip folded out, and then fold over. And then you've got your base of your chair and then the top bit, just glue the top bit onto the bottom. And it looks like a pretty cozy chair. And then you have there the base for you to glue your metal pieces on. So this was a shop kit because I fancied a little bit of a change, but still got lots of ideas from it for my house. I did a lot of the kitchen things from this kit, and then obviously these little stools gave me a little idea. I did then make some stools for my kitchen, sort of using some of the ideas from it, not completely, but just always gaining insight and honing my skills. Definitely would recommend getting a couple of kits, just to try out. They can be really teeny tiny though, and a little bit fiddly, but they definitely give you good ideas. So then in my dollhouse, I decided to make an office chair. This was quite simple. It was just a piece of polystyrene that I had. And then just a piece of white cardboard that I cut into a rectangle and then folded it for the chair. So that's just shows you how simply you can make a chair. So this is when I had an office living room. And then these pins, I use these a lot for the dollhouse because they've got lovely little pearl heads on them. I just stuck them into the bottom of the polystyrene to give the chair some feet, maybe even the appearance of wheels that you could slide around, and also perhaps to add a little bit of element of weight onto the base to keep it down, because obviously this being polystyrene did make it a little bit lightweight, so obviously putting a little bit weight into the bottom helps it stand up a bit more. So that was a nice simple chair idea, and again, as I always say, I just use what I had lying around. I can't even remember what that polystyrene came out of, but it came out of something, and I thought that's a perfect base. Could even use it as a toilet base, and you could just cut your white card into a sort of a toilet shape instead, and a tic-tac box on the top, which is what I did for my toilet, and simple. So here's a really simple idea for a chair. So again, using that idea, piece of rectangle card, and then I folded it into a chair, but I added a little bit of element to this. I added a sort of a end piece to the chair. Then using that cocktail stick, I wrapped white paper around it and glued it, making really nice sturdy legs, and then just glued them onto the bottom. And I've got myself a lovely set of dining chairs there, made completely from very lightweight card. And again, I put my very favourite little pins into the bottom of the chair, again, just to elevate them a little bit and to give them a little bit of weight, and also the idea of, a nice little end to the chair lid. I did end up putting a bit of blue tack onto the pin just to get it to stay inside the paper tubes a little bit easier. And that was a set of chairs for my kitchen in my new dollhouse. I made a small kitchen to start with, so that was a little table with the chairs at it. And then using those very same pins that I do enjoy using, I use them for legs for another chair. So I just got these beads. I've got this huge collection of beads, as you can see there, off old necklaces and from round and about. And I just glued them onto there. So just secured the end just to make sure that they wouldn't come off. I didn't glue them all. I think I just glued the bottom and the top. And I just threaded them on. And then, of course, when I left a little bit of pin sticking out so that I could push them into a chair. But actually in this case I had a different idea, so I just made the legs with no bits of pin sticking out there. So I just did the legs and then left them to dry, and also tried to make sure that they did stand up. I tended to choose the sort of most sturdy bead for the bottom, and then the top of the pin was going to be for the top. And then I just used some plastic, which actually was out of the Dollhouse kit, because they always provide the plastic so that you can seal the kit in, but I don't like to do that. So I had this plastic spare, and I just scored it with a knife and then folded it into a chair shape. I think I did end up having to break it and then glue it back together. So I just made sure that all the pieces were the same size. And then I just cut them and then I glued them together. So it was really simple, but it just made a really gorgeous ghost chair. And again, a nice simple shape. I just kept with the rectangle. You could, if you had a sander, I suppose, you could round off the edges, or even, could cut round. Or if you had one of those, really detailed saws, you could cut a fancy shape. But I was pretty happy with my straightforward rectangles, so I just used super glue to glue the two pieces together, and then I glued the legs onto the bottom, just to add a bit of detail and interest to the chair so it wasn't completely see-through. I initially used these chairs for my rooftop garden. So I had a little bistro table and sat them at there to start with. But as always with your Dollhouse furniture, you can use it in different rooms. So when I did a makeover of my kitchen and made it a kitchen diner, I brought them into the dining area. I had a banquette to the one side, which actually also was from the rooftop garden. That was a toothbrush box converted into as I say, a sort of a banquette pew church seating, and then opposite I had my two lovely ghost chairs. So definitely, once you've made a piece of furniture, use it all the way around your dollhouse before you make some new ones. So again, I really, really enjoyed this leg idea. So I did the same thing with a new office chair. So I just got the famous pins and then put some tiny little beads onto each one and then stuck them into, it was a piece of poster board that I covered with some wood effect paper, and that made a very nice fancy looking office chair. So once I get an idea I tend to run with it. But the only thing with that is I did find it was a little bit low as an office chair. I did put some ribbon on the edges as well, just to make the chair stand out a little bit better, and also to cover up any places where the sticky back plastic joined together. So I think I was actually quite impressed at how professional that chair came out. I think the more you make, the better you get at it. So again, another very simple shape though, just a piece of poster board. I think I scored it along and folded it and then covered it with the sticky back plastic, and then put the legs in. And then I did have a go at changing the legs recently, although I'm not 100% happy with them, but I put these pegs on from a flat back kit, but I did have to double them up to make them tall enough, because I did find the chair was a little bit short, and I'm sure it looks a little bit more like a kitchen chair now. So I think I will have to get my thinking cap on and make a new chair soon. So as always, thanks ever so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, and if you have, thank you very much. It does mean a lot. Please give me a thumbs up, turn on notifications, drop me a comment, because I do love to hear from you. So until next time, take care. Bye bye.